update number 37. Now, I'm a little behind on videos, and I'm recording this one later in the day than I usually do. So I'm going to try and get through this without as much editing as possible. So let's go ahead into it. What have I been reading? All right. If you would guess, you would probably be right. I am still reading Wind and Truth. I don't have the dust jacket on it right now, but I read chapters 24 through 32. I'm currently right at 33, which is very close to the end of day 2, going into day 3. And it's pretty cool. Things are picking up. Little plot between Shallan and the Ghost Bloods is pretty interesting, and I'm excited to continue on with it. But besides that, I also finished Dungeon Crawler Carl. I listened to that over the week, and I enjoyed it. I have like a slight little nitpick where I'm like, I feel like there could have been a more epic climax at the end. It's very much a to be continued type of ending, but that might be par for the course for lit RPG. But I still quite enjoyed it, and still am going to go into the next book. I actually bought it with my credit for this month, so I have it, but I haven't started it because I also started reading Discovery by J.A.J. Minton, and I read chapter 1, and then the next 2 days at work I had painting jobs, so I couldn't really physically read while on the job. So I only read chapter 1, but I quite enjoyed that as well, and I really, really want to keep going with it. It's very interesting. I'll just say that. I will probably have a lot more to say once I get a little farther, but that is my reading. What will I be reading after all of that? Well, I will be going into Dungeon Crawler 2 once I start listening. I think I'll do that after I read Discovery. I think I'm going to try and read Discovery before I start listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl 2, so I keep a little bit of my headspace for the different novels. But after I finish Wind and Truth, which might be a while, there's my issue with reading is a lot of the time I read right before I go to bed, and a lot of the time I read until I either fall asleep or get too tired, and that happens to be like 20 pages in sometimes or less. So I don't read a ton, and whenever I get the chance to read outside of that, I read a lot more. But hopefully I get some more chances outside of going to bed for Wind and Truth, so I can finally finish the 1,300 word book. But after that, I will be going into Ride Hell's Chasm by Jenny Wirtz. I am very excited to finally get into Jenny Wirtz, and I've heard great things about this novel, and I want to read it since it's a standalone for my first Jenny Wirtz. But if I love it as much as I think I'm going to, I will be jumping into Wars of Light and Shadow at some point, because that seems epic, and a lot of people seem to be loving it so far. And it's like 11 books, so it's a pretty big commitment. So I'll try this standalone first, but I have a feeling I'm going to love it. All right. So let's move on into my writing. So, as you may have known if you were here last week, I finished my first draft of my prequel novella, so I'm going into editing my novel now. And I didn't edit a lot in chapter-wise, but I did edit a lot inside those chapters. So I worked on the prologue, and I worked on chapter 1, The prologue ended up being like 100, almost 130 words more. And chapter 1 ended up being 31 words less than it was, but I changed like a sentence or two in like almost every paragraph. I am like meticulously editing this, and it's probably not going to be the final edit because I will probably send it to some people to do like actual editing, but I am pretty excited because I am actually enjoying this editing process a lot. It feels awesome to go in and just make the story better. It's just a good feeling. I like this a lot. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the line of the week. And I decided, since I'm editing the prologue and chapter 1, let's give you the very, very first line of the novel, which will be in the prologue. Let's go. "You don't want to die again, do you?" Eladara asked her brother Xochi with a forced whisper. Her hands gripped his arms as she stared into his eyes. "You know, forever this time?" Xochi's brows furrowed and his jaw clenched. His brown eyes were focused, his mind seemingly set. "I've killed one of these things before. I can do it again." And that's it. That is the very first few lines of the prologue. And I was very excited whenever that came to mind because I thought it was a pretty epic opener. And I was like, yes, I have to start the book with this. But that's it for my writing, so let's go into what I've been watching. I watched a couple more episodes of The Punisher, and it has been a wild ride. I'm very excited to see how it goes. I feel like there's still some things unsaid that we're going to find out. Like, it's hard to explain, but there's still a bit of mystery to the person that the Punisher is helping, and I'm interested to see more of it. And let's just jump into what I've been playing. I did not get any Cyberpunk in, but I did play a lot of Genshin yesterday. There was an event. They have their big New Year event going on right now, and yesterday was the last day to do everything, and of course I had basically not started it at all, so I had a lot to do, and I did that. But that was it. And for videos, I have my new release video recorded, but I haven't even started editing it, so that is something that will be coming. It's a little late, but things have been busy, and I hate that it's so late. Oh well, that's how things go sometimes. We can be busy, but I still plan to put it out. I do have it recorded, and these videos, the new release ones, they always take me the longest to edit because I do a lot of editing in those, but I still enjoy them, and I will be putting it out some point. And that's about it for videos. So that is everything. I feel like I sped through that pretty quickly. I had a lot of really fun news that I'm excited about. Let me know in the comments what you're reading, what you're writing, what you're watching, what you're playing, all those things. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I hope to see you again later.